Welcome to another episode of the PowerMove Maker series. And this week we're doing something a little different. All of our lives have been turned upside down with this COVID epidemic. Had you asked any of us 6 months ago if we believe in our wildest dreams that we'd be quarantined and the world would be in the shape that it is now, all of us would have bet against it. And I thought I would bring somebody on who is not just an entrepreneur, but somebody who can enrich our lives and enrich us while we're sitting home quarantined, because so often I'm reading people are, they're binging and they're putting up these posts that they've gained 5, 10, 15 pounds. And I wanted to bring somebody on who was a nutritionist, a trainer, and he's really a trainer to the stars, although I know he doesn't like to be called that. Has worked with some of the greats in our world, 50 Cent, J-Lo, Kevin Love, worked in Major League Baseball, the National Football Association. He has so many accolades, in addition to just being a really great and inspiring guy that's helping to change lives through nutrition and exercise. Please welcome to this week's episode of the PowerMove Maker series, Mr. J. Cardiello.
Thank you so much for having me today. It's an honor to be on your show.
Thanks for coming. Thanks for making yourself present. I think now it's you being on this show and shows like it. I think that your expertise is going to help so many people, because people are sitting home just getting fat. They're not letting the time work for them. They're really just sitting and binging and waiting for this thing to be over. What are some of the things that you find that people are doing wrong in this period?
It's a great question. And if we were to really, I always say we got to have regression to progression. So one of the biggest things, if we look at athletes, you brought up athletes, I've worked with Kevin Love and Major League Baseball, the NFL. If you look at an athlete, I always say we're all athletes, but our playing fields are different. Yours is business, someone may be at a desk, or maybe they drive a bus, whatever it is. Everybody's playing field is different, but we all have to prepare for the day. Now, our fields of play have changed. We're at home. I have my kids, and we're doing homeschooling. If you look at an athlete, say the game starts at 7 o'clock. They're there at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, getting taped, working with the trainer, getting stretched, and then they do the mental preparation. And that's one of the most imperative things. I'm working with athletes right now and people remotely, and the only thing that we're focusing on is the mental aspect, or the mental gain. So what we do is what we call it 8 minutes of power every morning. It's a morning ritual. It's the first thing, it may sound so trivial, but making your bed first thing in the morning when you get up, it's the first sign of success. It closes, in a sense, that door and ends. If you live in a studio apartment or a 12-bedroom house, make your bed. And it sounds trivial, but it's the first thing you do to create success. The next thing, it doesn't matter what you're going through or where you are, have gratitude. I always say have gratitude, because anger and gratitude cannot reside simultaneously in your mind. If you're grateful for it, you can't be angry. Then ask yourselves 2 questions. Now, I like to journal, but if you want to make it very simplistic, ask yourself, what am I looking forward to today? And what's the outcome? We're all looking forward to something. We all have an outcome that we want to accomplish. That's going to be a pulling factor. And at the end of the day, I always tell my clients or athletes, whoever it be, is ask yourselves, did I accomplish it? Did I set out to see what I really wanted to accomplish or really wanted to see today? And then the next thing we do is we call it incantation. And for a lot of people who don't know, maybe you're religious or a Christian or whatever, you have a prayer. Here's one of the things. I have an incantation. I'll give you a little bit about it. It goes, every morning I say, I, J. Cardiello, by December 31st, 2020, will accomplish this by doing this, this, and this. I can see it, feel, and believe it. And upon accomplishing it, I'm going to give this. The give factor is a very big factor. After that, I have, maybe do a couple seconds or maybe a minute if I have time left, about a meditation or just a good stretch. And then for myself, I'm a little crazy, but I do take a cold shower. That gets me focused. So people are like, water, cold shower, but here's one of the biggest things that we're forgetting. We always ask ourselves, I wish I just had time to myself. I wish I had time. What you wish for, you will eventually receive. And that's why you got to be careful of what goes on between the 2 ears. You know, people think I'm also physicality. What's your diet? What do you do to get these people in shape? We work on your mind first, because the mind is the first thing that's going to give up. Your body may break or may feel fatigued, but it's your mind that you have to work on. So each day I have whoever I'm working with, even myself, even my children, we prepare ourselves for the day. Whatever we're going to face, or maybe things we don't face, you have to work on your mind. So people ask for a pause, you got to pause. You wish for time for yourself, you got that now. So take that pause, take that opportunity to work on yourself. And you don't have to accomplish everything. Just do one thing. Maybe it's drink a glass of water this week, and then next week it's 2 glasses of water. So work at small, progressive, every week accomplishing a different behavioral change. That's one of the most easiest things that people can do to make great gains in life.
So you're telling me, say I'm a big time athlete.
Yeah.
I paid Jay Cardiello to come in, change my life, whip me into shape.
Yep.
One of the first things you're going to recommend to me is wake up in the morning and make my bed?
Of course. And that may sound like, yeah, okay. Now people are like, oh, come on, you didn't do that with your big time athletes. Yes, you do. Because if you look at it, let's go out to the basic things. That's the first thing.
And I really want you to get deep, because this morning ritual, I understand how we start off our morning dictates how we spend the rest of our day. How do you come down to these simple things that we can exercise every morning after morning? Then we'll get into the rest of the day. We'll get into the rest of our life. But how does a morning ritual change the way, number one, we feel about ourselves, and number two, losing weight, getting in shape, overall fitness, both health and mental?
All right. I'll make a long-winded answer long. Okay. First thing, complexity is the enemy of execution. What we attempt to do so many times, think about January 1st. I'm going to lose 25 pounds. I'm going to do this. And statistically it's shown, January 15th is when 90 to 95% of the people cut off on their physicality.
Yep.
If I'm going to go into a quick story, a lot of people may or may not know about the story about Roger Bannister. Roger Bannister was the person who broke the 4-minute mile. Up until then, in the 50s, people said it can never be accomplished. Anatomically speaking, the body is not meant to go that fast. Roger didn't train harder physically. He trained himself mentally to see himself accomplishing, breaking that barrier, running across the line in under 4 minutes. Whatever you tell yourself, you'll accomplish. And what I mean by that, it's the laws of attraction. If we look at the great Conor McGregor these days, he sought out first in his mind accomplishing it. And as his chapters of life started to unfold, he was able to accomplish it. Now, I want to say this, Shawn, this is very imperative. You can't just wish it up here and it's going to come magically. You're not going to rub a bottle and the genie's going to appear. You have to have action. And real quick, I want to show you something real quick. And so I always do this. I have the 4, what I call pillars of life, right? And we're going to go back to make it as simple as possible for people. So everybody has what we call potential. You wake up, you have great potential. The next box is your action. Now you're taking a lot of action or a little action. A lot of action will create great results and increase then your last square, your belief system. So let's break it down. You've all heard about that athlete who had amazing potential, but they took little results. They took little action, got crap results, and the belief system was, see, I told you so, I can't do it. And then what people do is they become attorneys or lawyers for their problems. Yeah, you don't understand. You don't know what I'm going through. And they defend their problems.
I love
only
that.
had more time. I only had more money. And then what happens at the end of life when you're taking your last breath, everybody who says, I told you so, they all ask that one question, which I've been destined never to ask. What if, right before you die? You know, simplicity, as I said, has to be laid out in life. You have to first work on yourself up here. You look at it, when we were children, if a baby fell down, we all help it up and say, you can do it, you can do it, you can do it. Why does that stop as we progress through life? If you don't get the job, you don't get the girl, you don't get the guy, it's okay. Work on yourself first. And that's one thing. People point out so much about what's going on in life when the easiest thing is to take care of the person in the mirror. Now, it's the hardest barrier to break, but small things done in a ritualistic time frame creates big outcomes appear. And what I mean by that, making your bed first thing in the morning, it's a sign of accomplishment. It's a sign of saying that chapter of my day is over. If you leave a messy bed, you're coming home to that and you're saying, oh, look, you're coming home to a house that's untidy, it's unkept. That says a lot about who you are as a person. That's why in the military, they always say, make the bed first, it has to be. And those guys come out and they train their minds. The drill sergeants are yelling at them not to beat them down. It's actually to get to that root cause in the subconscious where the first time someone told you no. I want to tell you a quick story. So I was 12 years old. And I was watching Giants game, and I grew up very poor. We had one of those TVs where you got to slap the sides. And my dad and I were watching the Giants game, and every Sunday we did this. And he said, who's the best player you see on the TV? And I was the best player. I was like, it's a quarterback. He said, no. And I named every position. I said, Dad, I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm 12 years old. I'm like, what's going on with this guy, right? He said, it's a guy in the stands. He said, somewhere away in his life, somebody told him that he can't. Maybe he was 8 years old and his dad walked out on his mother. Maybe his mother said, you'll never grow up to be like that. You're going to be just like your father. Maybe in high school he was beat up, picked on, whatever. And the barrier he created lived up in his head. And now he's a fan for somebody else wearing their name on the back. And right before he dies, he's got to ask himself, what if? And my dad said, doesn't matter if you make it to the NFL or Major League Baseball. Never give yourself the opportunity to ask, what if? Because you are the author of your life and you write that story. And that story starts the moment you get up in the morning. It's a new chapter, a new day. Your past doesn't exist unless you live there. Your biography does not equal your destiny unless you live there. Changing in the sense from that bedtime now to the wake time, making that bed closes that chapter, allows you to focus more. Something so simplistic can have this big outcome in life.
Amazing. I want to go back in your story for a second because I just want to establish credibility for us. Sure. Just a brief second for our audience.
Yeah.
You're a college athlete.
Yes.
Big time doing your thing. You have an incredible injury that ends your career from a sports perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Nearly severed your spinal cord, if I read right, and nearly severed your buttocks. Am I saying it correct?
So it's actually the coccyx or tailbone. It was severed almost completely across. Doctors at that time were saying that I would never walk again, or if I were to walk, I would be walking with a limp. So what transpired is I was fortunate. I was at the University of Arkansas. Now, I want to tell this story real quickly, is that I did not go out for track until my senior year of high school. So it wasn't like I was a track athlete in grammar school and then elementary school and then into the high school ranks. I had it in my mind that I knew I was going to do something. I just didn't know what sport to pick. And as randomly said, I'm going to try long jump, and I did very well. I was at that point recruited to the University of Arkansas, and in my sophomore year, it was during practice. It was raining, and I was tired, and I went into my last jump. And if you know anything about long jump, you jump off the board into the pit. Well, I pushed too far with my right leg, which was my jump leg, and I went to the left. I tried to catch myself landing with my left. As I put out my foot, I snapped. So the discs went forward, the vertebra went back.
Wow.
And the coccyx, you heard like a gunshot go off. And I just fell to the ground. I got up. And as I was walking back to my coach, my leg was just dragging. So and at that point, I didn't know what to do. I said, I'm finishing practice. And we went through 16 surgeries. I lived in a body cast for 6 months. And I have so much gratitude. And I'm very thankful for that point in my life. It was going through that, said, if I'm ever on my back again, if I'm ever down again, I want to remember this point where I'm going to be growing, where I'm going to be giving. And when you can't move your body, the only thing you do is work on your mind. And that's very relevant to right now what's going on. So many people are just focused on the fridge, focused on the TV, when they can be focusing on your mind. And all you have to do is 1 minute a day, 1 second a day. Just tell yourself something good that you have gratitude for. And that starts the process.
You know, I bring this up because you have a very unorthodox approach to health and wellness and fitness. And was it you laying on that hospital bed, going through all of those surgeries that helped you understand that it first starts here? It first starts with the mind. It doesn't start with because we all, and I don't know what to believe, and I'm sure a lot of my audience doesn't know what to believe. We see these trainers and it's like, go hard or go home. Everything is about the physical. If you did not break a sweat and you're not exhausted, you did not leave everything on the field, and you're not going to lose weight. You're not going to accomplish anything during today's workout. And you're completely different. You spend so much time preaching, getting sleep, starting with the mind. Mm-hmm. When you wake up in the morning, you have these very specific rituals. And all of that is before you even do the first bit of fitness. It almost seems like the fitness comes last. Did it start in that hospital bed?
It started, it's a very good question. I've actually never been asked that question. That started when I was probably about 6, 7 years old. My father was my mentor. Mm-hmm. And again, if you've watched me on Gary Vee, or I speak very openly about this, so from 6 to 8, I went through being physically and sexually abused by a neighbor. And then after that, my father lost his job. We lost our house. We lost everything. And then I found, where I can be somebody in sports. And then that was taken away from me. And after sports came bankruptcy and divorce and homelessness. So I have so much gratitude. So I don't want to say there was any point. There were points during my time. It was when I was 6 coming out, while it was going on, I just focused on the future of what I was going to be. My father laid down the cement, in a sense, for my belief system. It was very early on. I was just able to live outside of my body in a sense where my mental game for what I was going through had to be at another level. I said, I am not currently who I am. I am better than my current situation. And I would continuously and religiously, as the years progressed on, repeat that to myself. In 2013, I was offered the opportunity to write a behavioral intervention program to help reduce chronic conditions associated with obesity. I wrote the program. It was a 12-week program implemented at Mount Sinai Hospital. And it was able to show people that if they made simple behavioral changes on a weekly basis, and I mean simple. One is like wearing a red shirt. Red actually increases your confidence, strength, and power. So if you wore a red shirt, getting out of bed in the morning, you were, just arbitrarily speaking, more open to put yourself in a more confident situation. Maybe it was walking in place. We did things like writing yourself what we call an unloved letter. So you wrote to your food, your drug, your parent, whoever it was, not like a love letter, but you gave them praise. Maybe it was a father who abused you or walked out. You gave them praise for saying, thank you for walking out. I take hold of it because I'm a stronger woman. I'm a stronger man. You have laid the groundwork, and I'm not ever blaming you. I'm taking full responsibility. So what we did is we worked to create self-awareness. We had a 91% retention rate after week 12, and we had a 90% retention rate after year 1, only by focus on behavioral change. We had people losing 20, 30, 40 pounds up until a year and even beyond. And I even spoke about it when I was on a TV show. My diet is better than yours. I ran the no diet plan where we just focused on behavioral change. See, Shawn, everything's about this. Everybody can do squats, jumping jacks, go run for a mile or whatever. But when the poop hits the fan late at night, I always say when Ben and Jerry and Johnny Walker show up late at night at your doorstep, it's not because you didn't do a squat. It's because you thought less of yourself. The bad man in your life didn't show up because you didn't do a squat. It was because you believed you were nobody. It was believed that you had to fill a void with someone that's not at your level. What makes Michael Jordan who he is, what makes LeBron James, what makes these athletes, entertainers, who they are, is because when everybody told them no, they told themselves yes. And that's the only thing that I'm here to do in this world, is to give people the opportunity to see who they really are. Whether it was working with 50, J-Lo, Alex Rodriguez, whoever it was, it's not about getting under the weight and moving it and then going on a strict diet. Yes, those things work, but you have to first work upstairs.
Jay, can we talk about 50 for a second? Because I know you lived with him for 4 years. Am I correct?
That is correct.
So let's talk about a real life case study right now. You come into 50's life. What's the first thing you do with him? Because 50's known for his physique. He's known for eating healthy. He's known for, he endorsed vitamin water early. You had him looking like what he is, a very nutritious, well in shape man. You come into his life. Where'd you start with him?
So we started right at the hiatus, right when he was, when In the Club was going, and everybody, in a sense, wherever we went, just knew him. See,
so this is around 05, I'm assuming.
It's 05, yeah.
Okay.
So as I mentioned with the squares, right? Everybody has the potential. 50 took massive action, so his belief system was up here, and the results he got was huge. However, just like anybody, we always have just fine-tuning the engine. I didn't do anything for him. I just showed him a mirror that said, hey, here's a new strategy. Here's something this. We just simplified the process. So instead of an hour in the gym, it may be just 20 minutes. Instead of starving yourself for this amount of time, we're going to implement a nutritional practice like everybody's doing is the intermittent fasting or nutrient timing. So it was just different strategies where you don't have to labor yourself or put so much energy and so much time and effort into it. What we use is more putting time and effort to himself, focusing on sleep, focusing on recovery, focusing on taking days off. People always think to get to a level, you have to put in a lot of time. It's perfect practice gets you perfect results. It's not the 10,000 hours, because listen, I know a lot of drivers who have driven for 10,000 hours and they're still not good drivers. You have to practice on the small stuff, accomplish it, do it well, and then you can start shaving things off where you don't have to spend so much time. Everyone thinks you have to go to a gym for an hour. You have to go to the gym for the majority of the time. We didn't even work out with weights.
I want to stay with 50 for a second, because I got a lot that I want to get out in this interview. There's no way you can tell me 50 bought into this right away. 50's a freaking beast. He's up all time of night. He has a very alpha male, aggressive attitude about himself. You come in talking about get some rest, all these other things. Is 50 looking at you like you have 10 heads? Like, how does that process work? Because even as I'm hearing it, I'm thinking I need to be in the gym for at least an hour. You're saying, no, you can do this in 20 minutes. How does somebody like that on that level, and any of these athletes that you've worked with, how do they first ingest this information? Are they telling you, well, you're probably not the right guy for me? And speaking of that, if they tell you that, how do you convince them to stay with you?
Sure. So one of the biggest things from anybody I work with is we do blood work. And when blood work, there's people think, oh, you look at cholesterol and stuff. We look at different things. We look at cortisol levels, which is bad stress. If that's elevated in the body, doesn't matter how hard you're going in the gym, it's really telling you it's an immediate kicker, red line, stop, relax, take time off. So when you have indicators in your blood that are telling the athlete, the client, even us, that you need to stop, there's no arguing against it. I always say we go after facts. I don't talk about feelings. Feelings I put in another box, and I don't even want to bring them out. I go after the facts. So after you show the blood, then you explain to the client or whoever it is, if you look at an athlete, after the season, what do? They go in the off season, and what do? They take time to recover and rest. And when you recover and rest, you heal. If you're going 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, the body's going to break down. Cortisol levels are going to go so high. And all I got to do is show you on your blood facts. can't argue against it. And if you continue on this pace, what's going to happen is either injury, burnout, or worse, you can get ill. And at that time, you have to stop for maybe a long amount of time. So I really just show the facts, and the first is showing blood work.
Got you. I worked with Shawn Diddy Combs for many years of my career. Mm-hmm. Literally, as soon as you walk in the office, there was a sign, sleep is forbidden. It was brainwashed into our head, like it's brainwashed into so many aspiring entrepreneurs and people who want to get ahead in their life. How much sleep should we be getting on a nightly basis?
Sure. I'm gonna break that question into three things. About Shawn's an amazing character. You know, I got an opportunity to see him a lot over the years, and just not even a hard worker, just at another level worker. Mm-hmm. So people, when we talk about sleep, when we say, oh, you don't sleep, you got to crank, you got to crank, you got to crank, you got to crank. Yes, you do have to crank, but you crank during your waking hours. And that's what we really have to think about. If we look at sleep is the most imperative thing that anybody can do. And I have what I call the 4 pillars of fitness. It goes spiritual, emotional, nutritional, and physical. Physical is the last thing I work on. I work on sleep. Then I work on stresses, what's stressing you in your life, and then I work on nutrition. A lot of programs that I work with, even athletes, we don't start working out for the first month. People are like, what? It's crazy. Because if the other 3 are out of whack, I can work out all day, but you're going to get injured. So sleep, if we were to say general terms, 6 to 8 hours. Athletes, 8 to 10 hours or more. And if you look at this, look at your cat, or look at a cheetah. You never see a cheetah go, oh, I pulled a hamstring trying to chase a gazelle, do you? You never, because they're resting, they're stretching, they're eating, they're resting, they're stretching. And when they're running, that's like an athlete being in the game. They're hunting, they're walking. And then after that, they eat, they sleep, and they rest, and they do it all over again. And injuries down. People are like, well, you know, there's so many, I'm not an animal. Well, yeah, you are. You're a human being. So the note on the door is really, if you look at it, it's your awake time, you better be grinding. Your awake time, you better be grinding. Complaining, not doing the proper things. That during the awake time is when people, in a sense, should be doing things, implementing positive strategies. So sleep is the most imperative thing. And I have a rule. If you don't sleep, you don't come to the gym. So if someone misses, if someone says, I got an hour of sleep last night, you're going home. I can't work with you at that point. I'll stretch you. I'll have you maybe take an ice bath. I'll do the Theragun on you, but I'm not going to touch the person, because what happens if they're dehydrated and I'm not knowing about it, and they just went out and after the game they party a little and they come to me, I'm going to go an hour of sleep. I'm like, all right, let's start with squats. And all of a sudden they're dehydrated and we get a strain in the hamstring. Then what it is, 2, 3, 4 weeks he's out. I say, go home, let's get hydrated, and let's focus on sleep and recovery and get you prepared for your next day. So sleep is the most imperative thing. And here's the bad thing about this. People are put down for sleeping. There's a great book called Why We Sleep. And a lot of people don't know, your sleep is embedded in your DNA. There's some people who wake up late and they're so productive and they got to start work at 10 or 11. You should find that out from your employees. You should also find that out about yourself. Because if you wake up at 8 o'clock and you're not ready to go at 10, then you have to find a creative role or a creative place of employment where you can express yourself and your talent so you're getting the sleep. Plus, too, if you deprive yourself of sleep, your immune system is suppressed. And if you think about this, missing sleep, like an hour or so, and cutting yourself and depriving, if you're going behind the wheel of a car, it's almost like being drunk. So staying up late and missing, you're fighting and fighting. We've all been there, trying to get home. Depriving sleep, not getting an adequate amount of rest, you're decreasing your cognitive levels, which is your thinking, as well as your physicality levels. And less sleep means an increase in comfort food. The hormone that suppresses your appetite goes out the door. The one that increases it says, let's go to Denny's.
Okay, I'm going to get to food later in the interview. You convinced me on sleep. I want to go to bed right now. We're all home. We're living through this quarantine period. For people who are used to going to the gym,
Mm-hmm.
now they're converting to calisthenics. Talk
Mm-hmm.
to me about the differences, plus or minuses, between calisthenics or working at the gym with equipment. And also, a lot of people now, you know, you're an expert at this. Most of us, 90% of us, are not. How long should our exercise routines be for us to see any type of gain, whether we're trying to lose weight or gain weight?
Sure. First thing is consistency. If
Okay.
you brush your teeth 2 times a day, every day, you'll decrease your chances of gingivitis. You'll increase the whiteness on your teeth. It's consistency. It's the same thing with getting proper sleep, same thing with eating nutritiously, same thing with keeping your stress levels low and exercising on a consistent level. So let's think about that first.
Yep.
The first question, people are going to the gym and now they're doing calisthenics or body weight exercises. Continue your schedule. Continue your ritual. So if you wake up at 6 and you like to go to the gym at 6:30 and you have your pre-workout shake, still do that. And if you live in a studio, set it up where you walk over, get out of bed, make your bed, walk across the room, and do your calisthenics. Maybe it's sprinting in place. Maybe it's grabbing a video offline. Maybe in essence, it's doing burpees or whatever it is. So set that time as if you're going to the gym. So consistency with your rituals. Now, when will people see results? That's the billion-dollar question. You'll see results the minute you open your eyes. And what I mean by this is this, Shawn. People have to remember, we all are somebody. Sleep is a consistent thing that you can implement. So say you're getting now 8 hours of sleep. You're going to wake up in a healthier mindset. If you implement the rituals first thing in the morning, that's going to carry over into what you eat. What you eat, now you got proper sleep, feeling good. You're going to then choose healthier choices, vegetables, water instead of soda. Also, too, what you're telling yourself throughout the day, remember, what you tell yourself is who you attract. So if you tell yourself you're crap, you're going to attract crappy people. If you tell yourself you're crap, you're going to have a crappy life. It all starts with those first 3 things: emotional, spiritual, nutritional, and then the physicality. People are like, wow, that's so much. It's the proper way that we can create sustainable outcomes. Now, if you never exercised before and you want to do it during this time in quarantine, you start off by getting proper sleep, writing out your rituals, and then at that point, walk in place. The easiest workout, stand on one leg while brushing your teeth. It builds core, creates symmetry because we're all asymmetrical, and you get a whiter smile. You have to start off small. When I work out, I don't time it. I go until I feel good. If I have 15 minutes in the morning, I'll work out 15 minutes. And that may consist of stretching, jumping jacks.
And I'm so sorry to cut you off because this sounds so counterintuitive. You know,
it is.
I'm on the other side of this, right?
Yeah.
You're Jay Cardiello, world famous. You've worked with some of the biggest people in the world. You have a body like a Greek god. I want that body. Many people who are going to be watching this video want that body. But it just seems so counterintuitive to me to think I'm going to work out until I feel good. That could be 15 minutes in. Because I just want to stop, I'm going to tell myself I feel good and I'm going to get the hell out of there. Yeah. So, you know, this is so against everything that we've heard, and your work speaks for itself. So I'm not questioning your work. I guess I'm just trying to really change my own mindset. And I know that these are going to be the questions that so many of my audience are going to be asking themselves, like, you know, this just doesn't sound like anything we've ever heard before.
Well, we've been ingrained that we have to subject ourselves to these like boot camp things.
No pain, no gain.
No pain, no gain. And I understand that. Mm-hmm. However, the pain comes if you think about when I said January 1st you commit, the 15th you quit. The pain starts on the 16th is when you failed and you gave up. Mm-hmm. If you said January 1st, I'm going to have a purpose. My purpose is to, you know, I got to lose. Guy comes up to me and goes, I want to lose 25 pounds. That's boring. That's a goal. Goals push. Purpose pulls. You have to set up a purpose. And what I mean by that, a guy says, hey man, I want to meet a girl. I want to eventually get married, and I don't want to look like a schlum anymore. That's purposeful. That's going to get you out of bed in the morning. A woman may say, you know what? I want to be the first person not to have diabetes, breast cancer. I want to go to college. A child may say, hey, I want to be a teacher when I get older. I want to. They have purpose. They're pulling. We have to regress to progress. When we were 8 years old, we were told you can, you had dreams or hope. And then maybe a little bit later, someone said no. Go back to when you're 8 years old and think about what it is that drove you. So what I mean by that is this. Create a purpose. And every day recite how you're going to achieve that purpose. Set a time frame. And I'm not talking about 10 years. I'm not talking about 6 months. Go after a year. I always say about every year I start by December 31st, 2020, next year will be 2021. When I read my letter for the first time, I'm going to say, how close was I to my purpose? How much did I pull? It's quantum physics, it's the laws of attraction. So when people are saying, wait, well, what about the exercise program? When does that start? The minute you exercise positivity in your mind is the minute that your body will start to change. In 1994, when I first went to the University of Arkansas, we had won, I think it was like 36 national titles at the time at that point. We all sat in the room. We all were brought in as new recruits. The first thing we did, we didn't announce ourselves who we were. We sat down as a team. They sent around a pen and a paper, and it said, write your name. And then they gave you a whole bunch of rings, and you tried on your ring size, and it said name, and then I wrote J. Cardiello, and then it said ring size, and I wrote 9. And it says, national championship ring size. That was embedded in my head. I hadn't even gone on the track yet. I haven't even gone to my first practice. I left that meeting going, oh man, are we going to get the red diamond?
I love that.
So I take that and I implement that wherever I go. I say, I want you to write yourself a letter of exactly in detail of the woman of your dreams. And when you can see it, when you can feel it, when you believe it, when you speak it, it's going to come to fruition. You got to practice it every day. You got to give yourself that incantation. You got to see it. Now people say, well, you know what? I said I was going to make $1 million and I made 800,000. Okay. If you didn't say you were going to make this, how do you even know you were going to do that number? If you say you're going to make 1,000, how do you know?
So Jay,
yeah.
So are you saying the wrong way for me to go into trying to change my life from a physical standpoint? Summer's coming up. People have been in the house now for 6 weeks. Mm-hmm. Everybody wants that summer body. And they're like, you know what? As soon as I get out, I want to hit the beach and I want to look the part. Mm-hmm. Is it wrong to go into it saying, I want to be 30 pounds less than I am right now? Or should I be setting a different type of goal, or in your words, a purpose for losing that 30 pounds?
Great question. Set the purpose. So I want to lose 30 pounds. I want to lose. It's boring. What's going to happen is you're going to be glued to the scale. Every day you're on, every day you're on, every day. And then what happens is that you start stepping on the towel and stepping on the scale and stepping on the scale. And maybe you gain a pound. Then you're like, oh, and then you get down on yourself. If you work on your mind first and work on creating rituals, okay, this week I'm going to drink a water, because you should drink half your body weight in ounces of water a day. So if you're 100 pounds, it's 50 ounces. And if you never drank water, why are you starting off drinking a gallon a day?
Okay, I want you to go slow with that.
Sure.
Half your body weight
in ounces of water.
Ounces
of water a day you should drink. So if you're 100 pounds, that's 50 ounces of water, Shawn.
Okay.
So a lot of people don't drink water, right? So I would say if you're not drinking water, you're dehydrated. So why would you go to the gym if you're dehydrated? So start focusing on getting water in the body. Once you start getting water in the body and you start feeling, in a sense, hydrated, you're going to feel full. Your skin's going to be more elastic, so it's going to be shinier and look more youthful. You're going to sleep better. Being hydrated, you think better. Being hydrated, you see better. Being hydrated, you feel better about yourself. Now, we haven't even gone to the gym. So that small ritual people can practice and say, wait, If I'm implementing more water and I'm drinking the amount that I should be drinking, you'll be thus taking in less food. Taking in less food, you automatically start to see results on the scale. Majority of people eat is because they're dehydrated.
Really?
So, yes.
I never heard that before.
Well, you got to think about this. 85% of the population walks around semi-dehydrated. And hunger is sometimes masked, dehydration is sometimes masked with hunger when we're really thirsty. So if you're taking in, like first thing in the morning, I have 24 ounces of water. First thing, bang, I throw it in. Because I slept 6 to 8 hours, I'm dehydrated waking up. So it's not like I'm running off and doing a run. I'm first drinking the water, then I'll do my 8 minutes of rituals in the morning, not the cold shower, but I'll say that for after the run or whatever. But I'm practicing hydration first. And what people have to understand is these small rituals or these small practices make the biggest difference. We didn't see LeBron James at 15 years old and maybe just shooting the arc 1,000 times. Small rituals, big payouts. We are so conditioned this day and age with Instagram and social media that we see the end game. So we always try to rush to the end game.
I love
we
that.
don't understand that it took LeBron 30 years to get where he is today by small ritualistic practices, and he's doing the same thing. He warms up before a game. He shoots before a game. He stretches before a game. Same thing he did as a kid, he's doing now as an adult. He doesn't forget about his rituals. So we have to think about that. Forget the end game on Instagram. Think about the process now.
Okay, so right now I'm buying into it. I'm sleeping. I am adopting all of these rituals, and now I'm staying consistent. So if I'm home right now, or even when the quarantine is over,
sure.
If I go to the gym 3 times a week, I work out for 20 minutes, half hour, an hour, you're saying so long as I stay consistent, I'll see the results?
Great question. The results happen what you're doing away from your workout. This is so important. Okay, so let's just for all intents and purposes, let's use an hour so it's easier with the math.
Yep.
That means you have 23 hours in the day to mess up the results that you put in. So where's the equation? Do you understand the balance now? So you just crush it hard, chest, everything. You walk around, you're sore, fatigued. If you go to happy hour with your friends, if you stay up late watching Netflix, if you're eating the chips, what you do in the 23 other hours of the day, the workout for the hour can't compete. So you're constantly doing this, okay? So let's start off the day. You get your 6 to 8 hours of sleep. You wake up, morning rituals. You do 20 minutes of a hard cardio workout. Then after that, you're implementing more water. This is just saying. Then you're telling yourself throughout your day how great you are and great you are and great you are. You're not going to attract those people who are what I call weeds in your life. You're going to look for tail waggers, people who are, you have a dog, you walk down the hall, come back 2 minutes later, and it's so happy to see you. You're going to attract those people in your life. What you say is who you become, but it's also who you attract. And the muscle, here's the biggest thing. We train the wrong muscles in our body. Listen to this, Shawn. We work so much in our biceps, triceps, and abs, but yet we tell ourselves we're shit, or we tell ourselves we're crap. Remember what I said from the very beginning? Gratitude and anger can't reside.
Correct.
So if you're telling yourself while you're all muscle bound how poor this and this you are, and you're saying, I don't have time, I don't have money, that's not the way I was raised, are you really going to hit your full potential? If you think about the squares, are you really going to, or are you going to become that attorney and say, I told you so, see? Your muscle that you need to train more than anything, and your audience needs to hear is your tone, is saying proper things to yourself. It's going to take time. LeBron, Michael, they didn't come that overnight. There is no such thing as an overnight success. It is a process. You have to be dedicated to the process. And that's one thing that people have to understand. It's like the P90X. What do you do after day 91? We don't know. No one's told us yet.
And that's kind of where I want to go with you, Jay. And I'm so sorry for jumping in, but
no, please,
we're on a time schedule, and I want to make sure I get as much information in for my audience as humanly possible.
Of course.
You just talked about P90X, right?
Yeah.
Many people are doing these diets, keto diet, all the rave. Is that sustainable?
Everything's sustainable. You just have to do what's right for your body. That's why before you do anything, if you can get a blood test, well, I can't afford that, but can you afford to be sick? You should really understand, what your cortisol levels are, your adrenals. If they're so what we call suppressed, your adrenal glands really, the easiest thing is if you think about fatigue. Let's just say that if they're so suppressed and beat up, you're gonna be lethargic. If you don't know if you're hypothyroid when your thyroid is not functioning properly, and you get your blood results and they do a thyroid panel, the doctor may say, well, you're doing 20 hours of work every week in the gym, you're hypothyroid. So you're constantly fighting against it. There's so much information in blood that it makes my job so much easier, and it validates what I tell my athletes or whoever I work with. This is your roadmap. This has all the information, your blood. We can't fight against it.
Are there certain tests? Because everybody's not going to be able to afford you.
Sure, of course.
What is there? Is it a specific blood test that people should be looking to go and get? Because we all go and we do our annual physical, and they give us blood tests. Like, what am I asking for?
Well, here's the question to you. Does everybody do their annual physical? The majority of people don't.
Okay, for the people who do, because I asked you a question about dieting and is it sustainable, and you said start with the blood because the blood it reveals so much. So let's just say, just for craps and giggles, everybody's going to go out and they're going to get their blood tested, right? Everybody's going to buy into your program and into your wisdom. What am I asking my doctor to test me for?
Sure. Both men and women should get, this is the simplest thing, cortisol, which is your bad stress, your thyroid panel. That's a huge thing. Majority of people don't know if they're hyper, which hyperthyroid is your thyroid. It's right. It's just like your furnace. It's spinning as fast as it can. It's like throwing hot coals in there all day, and you can eat all you want, and you're still fit. Hypothyroid is your thyroid's not functioning well. It's in what we call a slow or fatigued model. So you can eat a small piece of toast, and all of a sudden you feel like you gained 20 pounds.
Yep.
So that's the two big things. And what's going on these days, what I would always tell people is get their gut checked. And people don't
look at— What does that mean exactly?
Sure. So when you go get analysis they may do a poop test or however they want to do it, but that will tell you a lot of information. A lot of people have inflammation within the confines of their gut, their body's not working well. We find so much information in our guts. People don't realize 90% of the body's serotonin is found in the gut. People think it's all in the brain. People think that, when the gut starts to break down and there's good bacteria, doesn't protect the stomach lining of the walls well, you can get what we call leakage or gut leakage. People don't know if they're allergic to certain foods. So it's those sort of indicators that we really should focus on. So it would be gut health, cortisol levels, and your thyroid. And if I had to add one more, I would try to figure out with your doctor inflammation. See, inflammation. Inflammation. There are inflammation factors that you can actually track. And one is if you're eating too much sugar, you're going to get inflamed. If you're eating the wrong foods, your body's going to be inflamed. It's just like you work out and you feel that pump, that's inflammation. But if that's happening within the confines, you'll all hear about, heart attacks and everything. We need to focus more on inflammation and eating proper foods that decrease inflammation than as opposed to going after getting our cholesterol and making sure everything in our testosterone levels and all that are checked. If we can focus on inflammation, the thyroid panels, cortisol levels, that's going to make a huge difference in our lives.
Okay, great segue. You spoke about sugar. I always hear sugar's bad for you, puts on weight. Don't, lay off the sugar. Fruits and vegetables.
Love the
Fruits
question.
Are high in sugar. Should I be eating fruit?
It's a great question. Fruit has what we call natural sugar. It's fructose. All fruit has it. But what fruit has, unlike, say, a can of soda or a candy bar, is that fruit has fiber. So when you eat the fruit, the fiber slows or impedes the process of sugar in the bloodstream and doesn't hit the liver like, say, drinking a Coke does or having a Snickers bar. Mm-hmm. So that being said, fruit is densely rich in nutrients and minerals. So are vegetables. I've never heard a person come up to me in my 23 years of doing this, whether I coach in the NFL to the entertainers and athletes, and says, I eat too much fruits and vegetables, that's why I'm obese. It's not going to happen. It's not. So it's gotten such a bad rap. People are like, I stay away from the fruit, I want the sugar. Here's the thing. If you go juice and you see the stuff kicked out, that's the fiber. Make sure you keep the fiber in it. So when you have your juice, it's going to slow down the process. Things like juice cocktails. Is that
something, okay, because a lot of people are juicing. Is that something they should request, keep the fiber in it?
Well, you can. You can say, or you can make it at home and save the $20 that you spent. just get one of those ninjas and throw the oranges in there and just put it out and then just drink it. Yeah, because it would hold the fiber. Sometimes people even go as crazy if they go to like the juice generations, they kick the fiber out to actually ask for that stuff. And I know people who put it in a jar, freeze it, and then heat it up and use it as a spray. So fruit is very beneficial to the body. We have to watch out for juices that extract out the pulp. We also have to watch out for juice cocktails, juice drinks, because a lot of them only contain smaller trace amounts. Whenever you see juice cocktail, you know you're not getting the real juice. So be careful of that.
So juice cocktail is an automatic red flag.
Automatic red flag. Yep. Gotcha. So you really want to go after something that says 100%. And look for, and even the word, so this is crazy, I don't want to go off too much on a tangent, maybe there's 2 parts of this, but organic means soil. It has nothing to do with the fruit itself, it just means it's soil. So you want to have things that are organic being pushed in. If they're things like words natural, the FDA, it's a made-up word, we don't even know what that is. Even local can be up to 400 miles from the origin of where the fruit was, I said, created. So we have to watch it for those words. And what I'll do is I'm going to send you out a whole list, and you can give it to your viewers afterwards. A whole list.
Please, and we're going to have to do this again because you're really getting into some other areas that I would love to dive into, because you just said local can be up to 400 miles. Wow.
Yeah.
Like, and natural, what does that mean? You know,
we don't know.
Go to
we don't know
the grocery stores, and we're looking, and if it says natural, we instantly think, okay, I should be buying this. And you're saying, on the other hand, no one really knows what that means. That's crazy.
Exactly. It's almost like, why do they put the flowers in front of a store when you walk in? It's to put the person in a more calm, happy setting. So at that point, they will spend more. See, there's an interesting study done by the University of Notre Dame that showed the psychology of a supermarket. So they put fruits in the very beginning, and if they're seasonal fruits, you know, they should be colorful. Unseasonal fruits shouldn't be as colorful. They go as far, I'll say it for another segment, but they even inject color into or dyes into the fruit to make it look plentiful. So there's a whole host of things we won't go into today, but just know that there's a psychology in a supermarket set up to have you and I buy more unhealthy foods than healthy foods.
Wow. Let's transition for a second. There are 50 million trainers on Instagram. Everybody's a freaking trainer right now. Tell me from both sides of the fence. If I'm a trainer on IG, what could I or should I be doing to differentiate myself? And if I'm a guy who just follows these trainers and think I'm going to learn something because they're sculpted so well, what are the red flags I should be looking for? Because, you know, based on what you're saying, all of these trainers are not created equal.
We're not. You know, I never want to put down another man or because I don't know what, you know.
That's why I left the broad statement.
Yeah, so I would say this. The red flags, whenever someone makes themselves to be the best, we're not the best. And even like people say you're a celebrity trainer. TMZ is not outside my door. I don't have, an entourage. I have a couple kids and a beautiful wife, but I don't have an entourage. So whenever someone says that they're a celebrity trainer, they're not. If you work on Wall Street, are you a Wall Street trainer? No, you're basically in the service industry to provide a person with an opportunity to have a smile, to create self-awareness and see themselves as the best version of themselves. That's it. You're here to serve, and that's what we're all created on this earth to do, is to serve. And that's one thing, when you hear a person saying, nobody has all the answers to the test. If they were, they would be called God. So with that being said, any red flag where someone announces themselves as celebrity anything, just doesn't. People always say, well, you trained this person, so you must be good. You want to know something? I worked 23 years to get where I was, and it took a long time to get, and it was the right time at the right time at the right person. And that happens, but you're not a celebrity. You're a service provider to create an opportunity in people that they may have not seen without your help.
I love your transparency. I love it. And again, just for any trainers, from a trainer standpoint, what can trainers be doing to differentiate themselves? You answered me in depth about, people looking to these trainers as celebrity trainers, but is there anything the trainers themselves can be doing?
Yeah, sure. Be real. That's the first thing. Be real. Understand, people think everyone has this perfect life as a trainer. They get up and be transparent. Show your faults. Show your shortcomings. People want to see realism so they can create what we have, rapport. If you don't have rapport, how are you going to relate to a person? And then also to find your niche. You should have something that you focus on. You cannot be all things for all people. If you focus on knees, focus on knees. If you're an endurance trainer, focus on the endurance. Being everything for everybody is going to make you very unhappy, and it's going to show you to not be real.
Got you. Okay, I'm a guy. I see all of the women out there, or the majority of the women, working out with these bands.
With these what? Bands?
Bands. You go to the gym now, or you just see people working out. They have these elastic bands. Can men get a good workout with these bands?
Of course, we use them. All of my athletes use them. All of my clients. Yeah. So what it does is, say you've probably seen the ones that ladies or women put around their thighs. Mm-hmm. So what it is properly, if you think about it, let's just look at our legs. Our legs go in and out. Mm-hmm. Your hip is meant to rotate. It's a ball and socket joint, 360 degrees. So by putting pressure on the outside when the person's pushing out, it's just allowing resistance, tension to be placed upon the glute area, thus destroying the muscle. People don't realize that when you work out, you don't build muscle, you destroy it. That's why it's important for the food, the rest, and the water to be implemented. People are finding very effective ways to be cost effective and to destroy more muscle fibers in a shorter amount of time. That's really what the bands are made for, and to put a lot of tension to help the muscle achieve a way that you can not get injured. That's what it's meant for in athletics. Got you.
So it's fair to say, if I get my mind right, work on these rituals, stick to a routine, if I do half hour 3 times a week, I will see results.
You'll see results, Shawn, the minute you say I can.
You said that earlier, but I was trying to trip you up.
It's the minute you say I can. You have to put it in your mindset. All right? So that's the most imperative thing. It's all about a mindset. Once you start seeing yourself as a great person, things around you start to change. That's why I always say your friends don't leave you. Your friends will fire themselves. Workers don't leave you. People fire themselves. When you start to change and you have a positive aura about yourself, and you're conveying that to yourself and other people, if people are negative, they're not going to be around that. And they're going to leave.
Got you. Talk to me about some natural foods I should be eating to keep my mind and spirit right. What are some natural energy boosters?
Well, watch out for the natural. Remember we talked about that one?
Got you.
If I were to, you know what? It's a great question. People always ask me, what's the best supplement to take? The best supplement to take is water. Because even if you're taking proteins dehydrate the body. So water is the best supplement. Everything needs to have a foundation of water.
So water.
Water is hands down the best. We don't drink enough of it. And here's the funny thing is that athletes make that the most important thing that they're recovering with throughout the day. But yet we as athletes in a different arena, maybe your desk as parents, mom, whatever you are, is that we're not taking that and becoming better athletes, better people. We're leaving the water out and looking for other things to keep our energy levels up. Water is a natural way to boost your energy.
Really?
Yeah. Cognitively as shown, dehydration makes people have less of a cognitive edge. Dehydration takes off and impairs the body to fire and react more properly on a physical level. So irritability, if you are dehydrated, you're more likely to be irritable.
So for the millions of people around the world who wake up and have to have that cup of coffee to get them out of the bed damn near, would you replace it with water? You
have to. It's just conditioning. If you woke up every day and, you got, God forbid, something bad happened to you every day when you got out of bed, you're conditioned to think that experience is going to happen every day. It's just conditioning, and you have to break that pattern. And how do you go from a desired state to a must state? You have to have certainty, and the certainty has to happen within yourself.
We're coming at the close of the interview. I am 100% going to have you back because you have provided me with so much great information, and I'm sure our audience is going to love this segment. What are some books that you can recommend to us?
Sure, I'm always going to say my book. They can, it's
what is it? Body weight and strength training.
Bodyweight strength training is a 12-week program, and it's going to focus more on working on your mind than on your body. And the workouts are anywhere from 11 to 20 minutes, and that's it.
11 to 20. How often?
You can do it 2, 3, 4 times a week.
Body weight and strength training. Can we find it on Amazon?
Yeah, you can find it on Amazon. The big thing about this book is that it has 3 segments. So it breaks it up to beginner, intermediate, and advanced. And you get to find out through the assessment where you are in your starting point. So the person who's a beginner may train 1 to 2 times a week. Advanced or intermediate, 3 to 4 times a week. And it's not an hour. Everything is body weight. Everything can be done in a 4x4 space, so you don't need a lot of room. So if you rolled out a towel or a yoga mat, that's all you need.
Beautiful, beautiful. I have to have you back because we could spend an hour just speaking about your book and going through all of the different exercises and what people can learn, just doing these workouts in the comfort of their own home. So great recommendation. Jay, where can people find you? Sure, on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, it's at JayCardiello. So it's at JayCardiello. And that's across all platforms? Across all platforms. Jay, thank you so much for your time. You have provided so much invaluable information, and you are a true PowerMove maker. Continued blessings, man. Thanks for being on the show. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you, buddy. What's up, guys? Thanks for sticking with me to the end of the video. Truly appreciate you. If you like anything you heard here today, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And if you know anybody that can benefit from this message, feel free to share. Peace and love.